Have you ever paused and realized that the very thoughts meant to guide you are the chains that bind you, that the endless calculation, hesitation, and deliberation you indulge in are slowly eroding the life you could create? Napoleon Hill's seventh rule, think less, act more, is not a suggestion. It is a commandment for the mind, a law of success, a principle that separates those who dream from those who build. Most people live trapped in the echo of thought, their imagination alive, their body dormant, their destiny postponed. But mastery begins when thought yields to decisive action, when hesitation is silenced, when the mind's energy is translated into movement. Hill understood that the mind is both a tool and a tyrant. Thought, unchecked, is paralysis. Doubt masquerades as reason. Fear disguises itself as prudence. Endless reflection becomes an opiate, convincing you that analysis is action. And yet, true power lies not in thinking about victory, but in moving toward it. The mind is designed to conceive, to imagine, to plan, but it is action that transforms the invisible into reality. The Stoics centuries earlier understood the same truth. Deliberation without execution is useless. Virtue is proven in deed, not contemplation. Every second you hesitate, the world continues. Opportunities vanish, moments slip, and the consequences of inaction compound invisibly until they shape a life of mediocrity. Think less, act more. This is the law of momentum, the secret principle by which the extraordinary rise while the ordinary remain trapped in thought. The body obeys the mind only when the mind commands decisively. The universe conspires only when your thought is married to motion. The first spark of vision is meaningless without the engine of action to ignite it. Consider the weight of hesitation. Every brilliant idea unexecuted, every plan overanalyzed, every opportunity delayed is a seed never planted. The mind, left to its own devices, magnifies fear, amplifies doubt, and manufactures reasons to delay. The Stoics would call it surrender to impression. Hill would call it failure to obey law. Together they reveal a singular truth. Thought must serve action, not govern it. Thinking is the map, action is the territory. Planning is the fire, execution is the heat. Without acting, the mind's brilliance evaporates into regret. Action is the crucible in which character, clarity, and success are forged. The first movement, the smallest step, is the most important. Momentum is born in motion. The extraordinary understand this. They move before certainty. They act before permission. They begin while others hesitate. Each action compounds, creating clarity, confidence, and energy that thinking alone can never produce. Hill called it applied faith. The Stoics called it living according to reason. In essence, both taught the same lesson. Action is power, and power is achieved when thought is transformed into motion. The mind is never at rest. Endless deliberation, speculation, and contemplation lead to fatigue, indecision, and inaction. To act decisively, one must silence the tyranny of overthinking. Let the mind calculate only enough to provide direction, then command the body to move, and let the soul insist on execution. The first action is never perfect, but it is infinitely more powerful than perfect thought that remains inert. The universe rewards those who dare to do, not those who endlessly plan. This principle applies in all dimensions of life: wealth, influence, mastery, and personal growth. Think less about how to start a business. Act and let the lessons teach you. Think less about building the perfect body. Act and let discipline shape it. Think less about what others will say. Act and let results speak. The mind's deliberation is necessary only to orient. Execution is the engine that transforms vision into reality. Delay is your enemy. Inertia is your adversary. Only action yields triumph. Hill's Rule 7th does not glorify recklessness. It does not invite blind action. The Stoics' wisdom tempers it with precision. Act decisively, but with reason. Move boldly, but with virtue. Execute relentlessly, but with awareness. The fusion of these philosophies creates a force so profound that the ordinary mind cannot comprehend it. To act is not merely to move. It is to transform the mind, command energy, and bend circumstance to your will. Imagine a life in which every thought that deserves attention is followed immediately by deliberate motion. Each plan becomes a prototype. Each idea is tested. Each hesitation replaced by motion. The mind gains confidence, the body gains momentum, and the world begins to yield to the force of deliberate, relentless execution. The ordinary wait, the extraordinary act. This is the decisive distinction between mediocrity and mastery. The tyranny of overthinking is subtle but deadly. It whispers fear. It manufactures doubt. It rationalizes delay. The body waits, the hours slip, and the soul grows restless. To act more is to break these chains, to seize control, to demand results from existence itself. Hill's Rule 7th teaches that the mind cannot conquer life until it is paired with action. The Stoics teach that life cannot be mastered until thought is disciplined and executed with courage. Together, they create a law as old as human achievement: think less, act more. The paradox of human power is that thought, when left unchecked, becomes imprisonment. The mind, capable of infinite creation, too often becomes a jailer, locking you in loops of hesitation, what-ifs, and endless calculation. Napoleon Hill recognized this. The mind generates ideas, but ideas have no weight until executed. The Stoics, centuries earlier, understood the same. Reason without action is impotence. Philosophy without movement is vanity. Action is the bridge between potential and reality. Without it, all vision evaporates into regret. Consider the quiet moments before dawn. Most are asleep, dreaming without intention, but the extraordinary are awake. Their minds may still turn with thought, but now thought is harnessed, directed, and immediately executed. They understand that clarity is fleeting if not applied. The first movement, rising from indecision, initiating even a small step, is the seed from which momentum grows. Each subsequent action compounds, forming a cascade of results, opportunities, and clarity that thinking alone could never generate. Inaction is seductive because it feels safe. Planning gives the illusion of control. Hesitation gives the illusion of prudence. But the reality is brutal. The world waits for no one. Circumstances move, opportunities shift, and time is indifferent. To wait for perfect certainty is to surrender power, relinquish advantage, and defer destiny. Hill taught that those who act decisively, even imperfectly, command the universe in ways the hesitant never will. The Stoics remind us that reason guides action, but reason cannot act for us. Only we can move. Action, even when uncertain, cultivates confidence. Each small step transforms the mind, converting fear into familiarity, doubt into clarity, and hesitation into momentum. The act itself feeds back into the mind, reinforcing courage and strengthening resolve. To think endlessly is to stagnate. To act decisively is to grow exponentially. The laws of momentum favor the moved, not the contemplative. The universe conspires with those who act, not those who deliberate endlessly. The early hour is the crucible of this principle. Before the world wakes, before distraction arrives, the mind is calm, the body rested, the soul attentive. Here, every small action is magnified. Writing the first line of a plan, sending the first email, standing and moving when the mind screams hesitation. These seemingly trivial acts accumulate, compounding internally into a force so powerful that the ordinary mind can not comprehend it. Momentum, once begun, becomes unstoppable, and the hesitant, once idle, are left behind. Hill emphasizes that applied faith, faith in your purpose, in your ability, in the universe, cannot exist without action. Belief alone is inert. Visualization alone is impotent. Imagination alone is fantasy. Faith moves the mind, but action moves the world. The Stoics complement this with precision. Act boldly, but with reason. Pursue relentlessly, but with awareness. Confront fear, but with calm. The fusion of these approaches produces power, a mind and body in synchrony, moving decisively, unshakable, unstoppable. The tyranny of overthinking is subtle, invasive, insidious. It whispers doubt, manufactures fear, and rationalizes delay. The ordinary obey it unconsciously. They analyze, procrastinate, and drift. The extraordinary recognize it as the enemy, the silent hand that robs them of power. They counter it immediately with motion. The first step, no matter how small, breaks the spell. The mind aligns with action. Momentum begins. Results compound. Confidence escalates. The invisible law of execution asserts itself. Each act of deliberate motion rewires the mind. Fear of failure diminishes with each attempt. Indecision loses authority over thought. Energy previously trapped in rumination is liberated into movement. This is the core of Hill's Rule 7th. The transformative alchemy occurs not in thought, but in execution. Imagination gives the blueprint. Emotion supplies fuel. Action constructs reality. The mind becomes a factory of results, and life itself bends to the discipline, the decisive, the persistent. The fusion with Stoicism is crucial. Action without company. Intro becomes recklessness. Action without reason becomes chaos. Hill's audacity must be tempered by Stoic discipline. Observe, measure, execute with awareness. Take the step, but take it strategically. Move decisively, but move rationally. Fear will still rise, hesitation will still whisper, uncertainty will still loom, but you act anyway, guided by principle, anchored in clarity, and propelled by momentum. This is how extraordinary lives are forged. The rich, the powerful, the unstoppable, all understand this law intuitively. They do not wait, they act. They rise before clarity is perfect, before circumstances are ideal, before fear has subsided. They apply energy immediately, with faith and precision. And over time, momentum compounds. Confidence becomes instinct. Execution becomes effortless. Opportunity becomes visible where the hesitant see only chaos. Action begets power. Thought alone never will. Think less, act more. Let this not remain an intellectual principle, but a visceral practice. Every moment of hesitation is a moment surrendered. Every act, no matter how small, is a building block of mastery. Momentum cannot be paused. Results cannot be retrieved once lost. The mind rewards motion, punishes stagnation, and magnifies execution. To obey this law is to awaken latent power, to claim invisible advantage, and to shape life with the authority that thought alone cannot produce. The mind is a factory of power, but power cannot flow without movement. Endless contemplation creates weight without motion, potential without consequence, energy without impact. You can imagine triumph, rehearse opportunity, and plan endlessly. But until the body moves, until the first P is taken, until the smallest action is executed, the universe remains indifferent. Action transforms possibility into reality. Hesitation transforms life into regret. The extraordinary understand this instinctively. The ordinary remain trapped in the tyranny of thought. Consider the friction of fear. It is invisible, yet omnipresent. It whispers, wait, later, not now, maybe. It disguises itself as prudence, safety, caution. The weak obey it unconsciously. They ruminate, analyze, debate endlessly. The strong, those who rise above mediocrity, confront it with deliberate motion. The first step is never perfect. It is often awkward, uncertain, even frightening. But it breaks the spell. Momentum begins, courage compounds, clarity emerges. One action leads to another, and the chain of execution becomes unstoppable. Napoleon Hill's insight was audacious. Thought without action is wasted potential. Faith is meaningless if it does not move the body. Desire is impotent if it remains unexpressed. The Stoics complement this with reason. Action must be guided, measured, and disciplined. Execute with awareness, but execute nonetheless. The fusion is devastatingly effective, bold, decisive motion directed by principle, tempered with calm. This is the engine of extraordinary achievement. It is the law of applied momentum. Imagine the day when hesitation no longer rules you. When doubt surfaces, you act anyway. When fear rises, you proceed deliberately. When the mind invents reasons to delay, the body moves first, teaching the mind that momentum cannot be resisted. Each act reinforces the next. Each movement diminishes fear. Each execution amplifies clarity and confidence. Thought becomes aligned with motion. Potential transforms into reality. Energy is harnessed. Power becomes tangible. The early hours of the day magnify this law. The world sleeps. Distractions are minimal. The mind is calm, the body is rested. This is the crucible where action is easiest, most effective, and most transformative. Rise early. Move first. Begin before certainty arrives. Execute before fear can immobilize. Impress your subconscious with deliberate motion. Reinforce momentum before the chaos of the day arrives. This is the secret of the discipline, the rich, the unstoppable. Every extraordinary life, every triumph, every act of mastery begins in action. Ideas are inert until executed. Plans are meaningless until applied. Vision is powerless until embodied. Hill's Rule 7th is not merely about productivity. It is about mastery of the mind, command of energy, and alignment of intention with reality. The Stoics remind us that wisdom is proven through deed, not thought. Knowledge becomes power only when action accompanies it. Thought alone is impotent. Execution transforms life. The consequences of inaction are subtle but devastating. Opportunities fade. Confidence erodes. Momentum never starts. The mind grows heavy with regret, imagining what could have been while life passes by. The law of action punishes hesitation invisibly until the consequences become irreversible. Conversely, decisive action, even imperfect, compounds invisibly, setting in motion patterns, energies, and forces that eventually manifest as extraordinary results. Hill emphasized the audacity of execution: move before certainty, act despite fear, and trust the process. The Stoics emphasize the disciple: in of execution, act rationally, observe outcomes, adjust without being derailed by emotion. Together, they create a formula for unstoppable momentum: boldness married to reason, courage tempered with calm, desire executed with precision. Those who obey it move through life with confidence. Those who ignore it drift in frustration. Even small actions carry immense power. The first email sent, the first step toward a goal, the first line written, the first phone call made. It is never perfection that matters. It is movement. Execution teaches the mind that fear is surmountable, hesitation is temporary, and momentum is inevitable. Confidence emerges from motion. Clarity emerges from doing. The universe responds to energy expressed in action, not energy trapped in contemplation. Every second you delay, the advantage shifts to those who act. Every hesitation compounds invisibly into stagnation. The mind's brilliance is wasted when it is not paired with execution. Hill's Rule 7th demands that thought serve motion, imagination serve action, and faith be expressed through doing. The Stoics remind us that the disciplined mind channels impulses into deliberate steps. The fusion creates mastery that is visible, tangible, and unstoppable. This is the alchemy of action. Think less, move decisively, let hesitation break under the weight of motion, let fear dissipate in the momentum of execution, let doubt crumble before the authority of deliberate steps. Build momentum while others are trapped in thought. Shape reality while others are paralyzed by contemplation. Transform potential into power, idea into result, intention into outcome. This is not theory, it is law, timeless, unbreakable, and visible to all who dare to obey. The mind is a predator when idle, hunting fear, doubt, and hesitation, devouring clarity and resolve. Left unchecked, it will invent reasons to stall, excuses to delay, and justifications to remain inert. Most people live as prey to this mind, endlessly circling, analyzing, fearing, and procrastinating, their life dictated by the tyranny of thought. But the extraordinary learn to turn this predator into an ally. They act immediately, relentlessly, without waiting for perfection, approval, or certainty. They understand that motion alone liberates power. The first act, often the smallest, is the spark that ignites momentum. Hill emphasized this in his teachings. Desire must be translated into action, faith must be applied, imagination must be executed. Action is the bridge between what is and what could be. The Stoics would nod, reminding us that reason without execution is vanity, and knowledge without movement is ineffectiveness. To think endlessly is to surrender. To act decisively is to reclaim authority over the mind, over circumstance, and over destiny itself. Imagine standing at the precipice of opportunity, your mind rehearsing every potential outcome, your heart weighing fear against desire. Most freeze, paralyzed by the complexity of choice, the uncertainty of consequence, the seduction of later. But the mind trained in Rule 7 does not hesitate. It moves. The first step may be awkward. The first attempt may fail. The first decision may be imperfect. Yet movement compounds into confidence, failure teaches clarity, and momentum accelerates inevitability. Execution transforms thought into reality. The extraordinary cognize that the early hours magnify this principle. Before the world stirs, the mind is calm, the body is rested, and the soul is undistracted. Here, action is pure, decisive, and most effective. Writing the first line, making the first call, taking the first step, these acts imprint the subconscious, set energy into motion, and program the mind to continue executing. Momentum, once seeded, becomes unstoppable, and the hesitant are left behind in a world they can no longer influence. Action teaches more than thought ever could. It exposes hidden fears, illuminates gaps in skill, and reveals opportunity invisible to contemplation alone. To act is to confront reality directly, to feel the weight of consequence, and to refine strategy in the crucible of experience. Hesitation postpones growth. Thinking alone cultivates only ideas. Motion transforms ideas into tangible results. The Stoics emphasize measured action. Hill emphasizes relentless action. Together, they reveal a singular truth. Mastery is proven in execution, not reflection. Momentum is exponential. One decisive action begets another. Fear diminishes with repeated movement. Confidence escalates as hesitation loses authority over thought. The body aligns with intention. The mind becomes a machine of creation, disciplined, focused, and unstoppable. Opportunity is no longer missed. It is recognized and seized. Energy once trapped in contemplation is released into tangible achievement. Motion teaches, molds, and strengthens in ways that thought alone cannot replicate. The tyranny of overthinking is subtle, invisible, and deadly. It disguises fear as prudence, hesitation as strategy, and inactivity as preparation. The mind trapped in this tyranny becomes exhausted, anxious, and ultimately powerless. The antidote is simple, brutal, and immediate. Move. Act decisively. Take the first step now, not when conditions are perfect, not when certainty arrives, not when fear has subsided. Execution transforms inertia into momentum, possibility into reality, and thought into power. Think less, act more. The philosophy is deceptively simple, yet its mastery is profound. The Stoics teach restraint and deliberate judgment. Hill teaches audacity and relentless application. Together, they form a mental alchemy. Act decisively, but act wisely. Move boldly, but move rationally. Overcome hesitation, but temper energy with awareness. This is the fusion of audacious execution and disciplined mastery, the engine behind every extraordinary life. Even imperfection in action carries more power than perfect thought in idleness. The first email, the first call, the first step toward a goal, the first line of writing, the first attempt, all are catalysts. Each movement shifts internal energy, instructs the mind, and builds momentum that thought alone cannot. Confidence grows, fear diminishes, clarity emerges, results compound, life bends to those who move, hesitation favors the timid, opportunity rewards the decisive. Every extraordinary life begins in execution. The visionary alone accomplishes little. The planner alone accomplishes nothing. The dreamer alone remains unfulfilled. But the one who pairs vision with motion, thought with action, intention with execution, commands results invisible to the untrained observer. This is Rule 7 incarnate. Thinking serves action, imagination fuels movement, and faith, expressed in doing. Action is the ultimate manifestation of power, and so the extraordinary rise while the ordinary linger. The mind that obeys Rule 7th commands circumstance, shapes reality, and achieves what most consider impossible. Hesitation is shattered. Doubt is dissolved. Fear is neutralized. Momentum becomes unstoppable. Clarity is forged in the crucible of action. The day begins with movement, and the results echo through life, compounding invisibly until mastery becomes inevitable. Action is a language the universe understands. Thought alone whispers, motion shouts, ideas, visions, dreams, they exist, but they remain inert until executed. Every hesitation dilutes power. Every delay saps energy. Every moment spent overthinking compounds regret. Napoleon Hill understood this. The mind is a fertile engine of creation, but without the wheels of execution turning, it produces nothing but noise. The Stoics, centuries earlier, understood the same. Wisdom is proven in action, virtue is measured in deed, and thought without movement is impotence. Imagine the tension inside the average mind: fear, doubt, distraction, hesitation. It churns endlessly, producing exhaustion and paralysis. The extraordinary break this cycle. They do not wait for certainty. They act now, imperfectly, perhaps, boldly, certainly. Each act, no matter how small, fractures the tyranny of thought, releases trapped energy, and compounds into unstoppable momentum. Execution becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. To act decisively is to reclaim sovereignty over mind, body, and circumstance. Momentum cannot be bought, borrowed, or feigned. It is earned in the crucible of small, repeated action. The first movement is the spark. The second is the flame. The third becomes wildfire. Fear diminishes. Confidence escalates. Clarity emerges. The ordinary, trapped in deliberation, remain immobile. The extraordinary, moving while others hesitate, claim advantage invisible to the untrained observer. The secret is not luck, talent, or inspiration. It is consistent, disciplined, relentless motion. Hill's Rule 7th is a call to audacity. Faith without movement is fantasy. Desire without action is impotent. Imagination without execution is a shadow. The Stoics temper this audacity with calm precision. Act, yes, but act rationally. Move, yes, but move deliberately. Confront fear, yes, but with measured awareness. The fusion is lethal, bold, decisive motion channeled through reason, discipline, and clarity. This is the formula by which ordinary life is transformed into extraordinary mastery. The early hours amplify this law. Silence magnifies clarity. Calm magnifies courage. The body rested, the mind alert, the world asleep, all distraction eliminated. Here, every small action is magnified, imprinting confidence on the subconscious, forging momentum before the day even begins. Writing the first line, making the first call, standing while the mind hesitates. Each act is a declaration, a signal to the universe that you will not remain idle, that your life will not be postponed, that your power will be expressed. Action teaches more than reflection ever could. It exposes weakness, reveals opportunity, cultivates skill, and reshapes perception. Hesitation conceals lessons. Thought alone obscures truth. The Stoics remind us that life is revealed through experience. Hill reminds us that momentum compounds in execution. Together, they reveal the profound insight: doing teaches faster, strengthens more, and transforms the mind and world more completely than thinking ever will. Every extraordinary individual understands this instinctively. They act before inspiration arrives, before fear is gone, before certainty is achieved. They rise early, move decisively, and allow momentum to compound invisibly. The first step may be uncertain. The first action may be imperfect. The first attempt may stumble. But the chain is irreversible. Confidence grows. Clarity solidifies. Fear fades. Results accumulate. Execution is the alchemy that converts potential into power. Think less. Act more. Every hesitation is wasted potential. Every delayed action is a forfeited advantage. Every overanalyzed thought is a missed opportunity. The mind obeys movement, the universe rewards execution, and life responds to action, not contemplation. Hill's audacity, paired with Stoic discipline, produces unstoppable momentum. The extraordinary act while the ordinary deliberate endlessly. The extraordinary move while the timid wait for certainty. Momentum, once initiated, becomes an invisible force that shapes the rest of life. The tyranny of overthinking is subtle, persistent, and deadly. It whispers fear, manufactures doubt, and rationalizes delay. Those who obey Rule 7 break its hold decisively. They act immediately, decisively, relentlessly. Execution becomes instinct. Motion becomes identity. Hesitation is no longer tolerated. Opportunity becomes visible. Clarity emerges. Fear diminishes. Life bends to the momentum of the decisive, the audacious, the disciplined. This is the transformati on of the mind, body, and soul through relentless action. And now the final hour approaches, the culmination where thought, faith, courage, and discipline merge into unstoppable execution. Momentum is established. Confidence is solidified. Fear has been conquered. Clarity dominates. The laws of action, once internalized and practiced, begin to dictate reality. The ordinary remain trapped in hesitation. The extraordinary command existence. The time has come to move decisively and unrelentingly into mastery. The moment has arrived. The battlefield of thought and hesitation lies before you, invisible yet omnipresent, quiet yet relentless. Fear whispers, doubt conspires, distraction lurks, but the extraordinary do not negotiate with hesitation. Napoleon Hill's Rule 7 does not permit delay. The Stoics' discipline does not excuse inaction. The law is simple, brutal, and transformative. Think less, act more. The mind obeys motion, the universe rewards execution, and life yields only to those who move. You can continue to overthink, to rationalize, to plan endlessly, and watch your life slip through the cracks of indecision. Or you can rise, immediately, decisively, relentlessly. One step, one action, one decision, executed now, breaks the tyranny of thought, ignites momentum, and transforms fear into power, doubt into clarity, and potential into results. Hesitation is the silent killer of opportunity. Motion is the spark that ignites inevitability. Action is not merely physical. It is psychological, spiritual, and philosophical. To act decisively is to command your mind, to harness your emotions, and to imprint your intention upon reality. Each act is a declaration: I will no longer wait. I will no longer surrender to hesitation. I will no longer allow fear to dictate outcome. Momentum begins in the smallest movement, yet compounds invisibly into the force that shapes destiny. The extraordinary know the value of early hours. Before the world stirs, before distraction arrives, before fear can fully manifest, they move. They rise, write, call, create, act. Each deliberate motion reinforces confidence, fortifies courage, and builds unbreakable momentum. Hill called this applied faith. The Stoics called this virtue in motion. Together they reveal the ultimate truth. Movement transforms thought into power, desire into reality, and intention into achievement. Consider the cost of hesitation. Every second you delay is energy wasted, opportunity lost, and potential surrendered. The mind may craft reasons, rationales, and illusions of prudence, but these are the chains of the timid. The extraordinary recognize the illusion and act regardless. Execution, even imperfect, accelerates learning, cultivates confidence, and reshapes circumstances. Motion teaches what thought cannot, produces what imagination alone cannot, and commands what fear cannot restrain. Think less, act more. Let this principle dominate every waking hour. Let the first step become habit. Let movement, deliberate and relentless, define your relationship with reality. The timid will analyze endlessly. The hesitant will watch opportunities slip away. The extraordinary will move first, act boldly, and command momentum before the world even awakens. This is the silent law behind every extraordinary life. Execution creates results. Thought alone does not. The fusion of Hill's audacity and the Stoics' discipline produces unstoppable power. Boldness without discipline is reckless. Discipline without action is impotent. Together they form a mind that moves decisively, conquers hesitation, harnesses energy, and compels reality itself. Momentum becomes inevitable. Fear becomes fuel. Doubt becomes guidance. Clarity emerges from motion. Every action compounds invisibly, shaping a life that is not a matter of chance but of law. And now the time is yours. Rise early, move decisively, begin before clarity arrives, before fear subsides, before hesitation has a chance to strike. Execute relentlessly. Allow motion to teach, to strengthen, and to create. Imprint purpose on your subconscious. Harness energy. Rehearse through doing. Command momentum. This is not theory. This is law. This is the secret the ordinary ignore and the extraordinary obey. The moment to act is not tomorrow. It is not when conditions are perfect. It is now. Move while others hesitate. Act while others analyze. Begin while the world sleeps. The first step is the key, the spark, the ignition. Momentum cannot be borrowed. Power cannot be stolen. Mastery is claimed in motion, in execution, in relentless, disciplined, audacious action. Think less. Act more. Let every hesitation break beneath the weight of deliberate steps. Let fear dissipate in the momentum of execution. Let doubt crumble under the authority of movement. Build unstoppable energy. Achieve what others only imagine, and command the life that awaits those who act decisively. Your mind, your body, your world, none of it will move unless you do. Rise, move, execute, become unstoppable.